Hey there YouTube, AJ here, back on my 27T project. Getting ready to take this car and start joining the bodies together. But to do that, I got to get the doors in the right place so I know where to line up everything. So now I'm working on getting those doors lined up and installed. However, I have a problem. The front doors have the pockets for the latches in them. You can see this one's just kind of temporarily stalled in there. It's there though. And then this one over here, you can see without the latch, you can see how this pocket is recessed in and the latch sits down in there, screws in, and then catches on a catch plate over here. So this catch plate mounts on the door jamb. The latch mounts into this pocket. So when you close the door, it will hold the door shut. Now that's all fine and dandy for the fronts. All the holes are in the right places, all the metal's in the right place, so you can attach the door latches and the catches, and I know where that door needs to be based on those pieces. The problem comes to the back doors, because the back doors had these latches, which are touring latches, and the problem is they had been ripped out of the car at some point and then welded back in, brazed back in poorly. They weren't in the right spots. The way these latches work, this part of the latch actually goes up inside the door, and there's a hole in the top of it here. Now that hole matches a hole in the top of the door as well, and that's where part of the top supports must mount in, or the windows or something. I don't know, they're a top bow, something mounts in that, and then went down into this hole. And I assume the wind pressure or whatever, something over time would started tearing these latches out of the door, and the metal got all tore up. So you can see how this went. It would slide up in there somehow. I've never been able to get these back to fit correctly, but it would go up in here. This top hole here would line up with the hole in the top of the door, and basically it would fit in like that. And then the bottom half from here down came out of this and sat in this bottom little recess, kind of like the front door. Now, most of this door is here, so I could reuse these. These inserts where the screws they both have broken off screws in them, so that could be challenging to fix. I don't know. But the problem is more with the other door. Now, I've already started working on this door and cut out a lot of like shredded metal. This door was and is way worse. There was just ripped up metal down through here. This pocket's not really there. It's kind of been worked flat. The screws, or where the screws mount at the top here and here, that has been ripped into a giant hole. And then all of this down here, there's a rip in the metal down this side, and you'll see that better in a picture in a minute. I'm actually making this video after I've done the patch panel for this, so I've already been trimming on this and fixing it a lot. In a minute here, you'll see what this looked like before I started. But anyway, since I don't need to use this top hole, I'm not putting a top. I might put some kind of top on this eventually, but I'm not putting a standard top on this car. And 95% of the time it will be run with absolutely no top. So I'm planning on actually welding these holes in the top up, and I don't need to go up in there. So if you watched my earlier videos, you also know that I stored this car at my dad's place for a long time. I originally had front door latches like this for both sides, and then these back door latches. Somehow I ended up with only having one of each. So I thought I had lost the door latches permanently, and I needed to find replacements. New latches were super expensive. Used latches weren't cheap. But anyway, through some searching, I ended up starting getting some replacements I never did replace these. I had planned, I don't know what I was going to do. Because they didn't fit well, they didn't work well in the doors. I didn't like them. So what I ended up doing, trying to get 2 driver's side and 2 passenger side of this style. And since I had big gaping holes in my rear doors, I was just planning on modifying them to run this style of latch. Sound like a solid plan. So I started collecting parts. I got a couple, and then my original latches turned up. So now I actually have 3 of these for one side and 2 of these for the other side. And that's good because this one's not the best. This one still needs work. It's not working completely. But so we're not going to use this one. So I'm going to use the same front door latches front and back and just modify the doors to fit. Which means I need to make this piece that holds with this recess in it. I need to make 2 of these pieces, one for the back passenger door and one for the back driver's side door, and then cut and fit those in place of the old metal. Yes, I could use the original style latch for this door and then remake the original style pocket for this door, but again, those latches are a pain to get up in there and work, and I just, in the long run, and one of them's broke anyway, I need to take it apart and fix it. So in the long run, I think I'll be better off just remaking the recessed little panel that holds these front style latches for both the back doors and using the front style latches in all 4 doors. That way they'll all be the same. I'll have one spare once I get this one working. I think I could eventually modify these into the same kind of style if I wanted to. I don't know. I might sell these. I don't know what I'll do. But that's the plan, is to make the front style pockets to hold the front style latches in the rear doors. And the problem with that plan is I've never made a patch panel, never messed with sheet metal, never done anything like that in my life. So this is all going to be a learning experience. So I guess I should start off by making a template of the front door and seeing if I can make a duplicate patch panel for the rear door. So I brought out the passenger side doors into the sun to work on them. What I want to do is start making a template for this rear door off of the front door. You can see how this one latch fits in there, all the 6 screws. So what we got to do is replicate this part for this door over here, which, yeah, you can see the sheet metal's torn a couple places. You can see this where the old latch was brazed in there. It's just all ripped out. None of it's to shape at all. You can kind of feel the indent for the back edge here, and part of that is still here in this one, but I think it's like right there is where it starts. So I think the latch should be like kind of in that area. But I'll make an oversized piece to fit from here to here, and hopefully we'll have enough. I'll leave enough extra metal that I can adjust it up and down based on the catch position. Anyway, you can see this huge gap on this side. More torn sheet metal. I am going to weld up like all these extra holes and stuff later, but for now I think the first thing we need to do is just try to beat this metal back into some kind of shape that it used to be before we even start. All right. It's far from perfect, but I think I got a better starting place now. I'm going to try to save this piece here. I'm going to weld this up, I think. Mainly because I want to save this body roll here. So I'm going to try to leave this and weld this. I'm going to try to cut in a little straighter here for my attachment and put my pocket in here. So I will make my pieces a little bit bigger than this square here. Hopefully we can get this looking closer to this. I did start with this one because it was by far the worst, and so the absolute worst thing I can do is make it better. It can still suck, but it'll still be better. So hopefully, yeah, we'll practice on the worst one, try to make it better, and we'll go from there. Let's get to making a template. Okay. All right, so I got a scrap of cardboard. I need it to be just wider than the hole in the other door. Turns out this flap right here is just about the right size. So, and it also incorporates the bend I need to come break over this edge here. So I'm just going to go ahead and square it off with these tabs here. Cut it down to the length I need, which is going to be roughly, for now, will come like 1 inch past. I'm going to try to bring this in as tight as I can there, but I want it to come in wider up on top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to notch this corner like a 1/2 inch, and then we'll set the width, and we'll do the same for the other side. Now we don't want this to go down into this body bend here. I'm going to try to keep it up just a little bit, so we'll be welding on this piece here. And so we're going to want to take, I don't know, almost looks like a 1/4 inch. So we're going to start with 1/8, and then we'll just keep going until we get where we want it to be. So now we got to cut out the center part for the relief of the inside of the door handle. That includes this pivot point down here, this where the slide mechanism for the latch actually sits, and a little bit here. I'm going to try to leave as much as possible, unlike whereas this one just kind of cuts square. I'm gonna just cut it just barely enough to fit, so I'll have room to grow and adjust it. You can also see on this edge down here, which is going to be this piece, you know, they cut it at a angle, and that's where the actual slider comes out. So I'll have to, you know, also leave a relief for that. But the bad part is I have no frame of reference for how high up or down I need to be in here, because all the pieces, the only thing I got a little bit this corner and a little bit of the top corner, but they're not the same. Maybe I should try to go test fit this to see where it's going to hit roughly. See if I want to try to keep this more to the center or to the bottom or the top. I think it's going to go more towards the bottom. Okay, so I was right. I want to be towards the bottom. This piece, the edge is going to be like right near the edge of that. So I want to kind of fit it in just like that.
So, you lay this piece in there. Okay.
So if I take this and just flip it over, now that my slider piece is on the wrong side, so that's gonna not fit at all, or be good for the other side. But in this case, we're just gonna go ahead and use the other side door handle. so we can mark out our slide relief.
So our depth is basically going to be...
This is the depth of our pocket. This is the depth of our relief. We still do the same thing on the other side. So depth of the pocket, depth of the relief.
Okay.
So this box here, the outer box, is where I need to step down the metal. That actually needs to continue down this piece. That's going to be difficult because that's so thin. Alright, we'll make it work. We'll do something there, make it work. It doesn't have to be perfect. I can pound that in. It can just be a gentle rise. We'll figure that out. Yeah, so this outer box is going to be where I have to offset the metal to make a little indent or pocket for the whole latch assembly to sit in. And then this piece flanger on the outside will be what I actually weld to the sheet metal here on the door. This is the depth of the relief I need for this. Now we need to get the width. So, and I'm cutting it pretty tight for now. I know I'm gonna have to cut, I know it'll, when I cut it, it'll expand this a little bit, so I should be good. And we'll need that to go all the way across. So if I cut right on these lines, I should have enough clearance for my latch. But we don't want it to go all the way down. We want to leave some room for metal at the bottom. So I'm just going to kind of start it with, needs to be about a 1/2 inch. All right, and then we'll just kind of hand draw this in, can make it a little round pocket, that way it's less likely to tear. And we need to make a little clearance for our pivot here and our pivot here. This side doesn't have a relief on it because they cut the metal square to where it was above this. I think I'm going to leave metal and just kind of try to leave a path for it to follow. And if I have to cut more later, I will.
And mark our center point on the bottom of it. Real straight up on the front edge.
I know I'll probably, after I cut this, I'll probably have to file it a couple times to get it enough room to go. But I think it'll be okay in general.
I think instead of trying to do that sloping there, we'll just come out to this distance, do a big U. I think that'll make it easier to cut, easier to shape, easier to work with.
Alright. So that's our general piece of metal we need to cut, minus this part in the middle. So we got to cut that out. All right, moment of truth. Let's see how this fits. Hey, look at that. Not too shabby. Fits in there pretty well. So yeah, it's a little tight there. Well, I mean, I know there's going to be adjustments need to be made, so that's fine. So now let's take this and see how this all fits in our hole in the door. All right. I think we're looking pretty good. Just mark our pocket again now that this is in place. Pop in some marks for our holes. We're not going to be using these, but you know, it's good for reference. And then same thing down here on the front. All right, I think that'll work. I think if we cut our metal out to this shape, we got something to work with and start making a mount. So, time to take this and transfer it to some metal. So this is the original cowl that came with that body. The previous owner of the body had a better cowl, split it from the other car, I'm just going to use that cowl to use the bottom. Actually, what's crazy is as beat up as this cowl is on top and front, the side panels were good. So he cut those off and was planning on using those on the other cowl, which had bad bottoms of the side panels, and the rest of the cowl was really good. So he basically was going to combine the two. Fine, I'm continuing down that path that he started because it's already pretty much fit up that way. However, this piece here, in an effort to be frugal or retain as much Henry Ford steel in the car as possible, and right now it's the only sheet metal I have. I don't have any sheet metal to make these patches with. So I'm going to try to clean up a spot here on the top and see if I find some metal that I can use to make these patches. Okay, so I finally got smart to turn this thing over. I was like trying to chisel away all the putty on top and to see where the good metal was, but I found there was a hole. I found this one on the other side, and I was like, okay, they patched this, and because there was metal underneath the putty here. So I turned it over and found the patch. So I'm just going to go ahead and like cut just past this edge of this hole, like in this section, and or I'll clear that off and then cut it. And that way I know what I can use there. They did the same thing on this side. As you can see, this thing was beat up pretty bad on top, and they just slathered in like 3/8 of an inch of putty in some places to fill it in. So basically I'm just going to go ahead and kind of clear off this square here, and I'm going to cut it out of that spot, and then I'll hammer that flat and cut my shape out. Alright, so we got our patch panel cut out of nearly 100-year-old steel, and it's pretty much dead on. It's close. It's really close, so we did good. I did test fit it as best I can because I don't have the bend in here. I want to put that bend in last because I got to do that drop pocket thing first. So, but anyway, I kind of like eyeballed it and test fit it as best I could here. Seems to be, we're there. So anyway, that's good. Now we're ready to lay out these lines for our drop pocket. How am I going to do that? I'm just going to go ahead and eyeball those on there. Yeah, this front one's where it's going to get a little funky because it's going to be right on the edge of this. All right, let's get a square.
Okay.
I mean, everything's lined up fairly square, so that's not too bad. Slightly off there, we'll split the difference. Ooh, didn't realize that was going to be that close to that edge. Oh well. and try to roll it to the outside of these lines. Now I got to take this and try to learn how to use a tool I've never used before. We'll see how that goes. So this is my Eastwood bead roller, just a little one. Never used it yet. Bought it specifically because I knew I was going to be needing to bead roll some stuff on the hot rod project. Have no idea really how to use it. I've seen people use them on other YouTube channels. I have my part I need to roll, need to step. Got my piece to make sure I step it the correct way. And I have 4 little tiny pieces of scrap from cutting that out. That should be enough, right? Oh, I have a wrench to tighten this with. That should be enough. We'll see. I don't know if you've noticed or not, but I just tend to wing stuff and learn as I go. I'm going to try to figure out how to line these up to where I get the step going the way I want. All right. So I want it to be where this part is lower than this outer edge. So I got to figure out how that works. So we're going to run this through. We're just going to tighten this to where it just barely touches, and a quarter turn. Yeah, quarter turn. There we go. And then turn it this way to go through. All right, first piece through. Let's see what happens. It doesn't grab and go in like I was expecting it to. Maybe you got to put a lot more pressure on it than I thought. Oh, there we go. All right, that actually worked, and it worked pretty much the way I was envisioning. So we want the high part to be on the outside, which is going to cause a problem here. How do you do that? I can't. How do I put that in there? So I can't run this in. So do I need to mark it on the other side? So I run it through this way. Okay, I'll be right back. I gotta go mark this on the other side. Right? Or can't I do it this way? Hang on. If I run, so I can't run that in. I gotta keep the skinny end in. Oh. Can I move these jaws? No. Wait a minute, it goes through. Ah, there we go. All right, I see. For some reason I was thinking this was solid. All right, so I go in, run it up to this edge, and then I'll have to turn it, retighten it down on it, and do it back and forth. All right, here we go. Well, this is kind of nerve-wracking. Oh, we've started it now. All right, that is not too shabby. I think I'm okay with that. Now here's the hard part. It's too tight to make a turn. So I think what we need to do is loosen this up. Here's what we got so far. And that actually looks pretty good for what we want. But now I got to get this to cut into this corner. So how do we, I've got this all the way up. There's not enough flex in this jaw. I was hoping that jaw would flex further up. Ah, I can loosen this. So now, ha ha ha, he ho ho ho. There we go. Ah. Get it back lined. That should allow the jaw to slide down. Okay. Now see if this will work. I think we're working now. Turn it up into the corner. Yeah. We're going now. Now we're cooking. Oh. All right, that's cool. All right.
Now reverse that. Okay.
Now we've got two sides done. I think it's, yeah, that seems to be going good. All right, let's get the last one.
Okay, so lift. Get it positioned on the line. Okay. Tighten. And roll. We're going to do that way first. Up into the corner. Okay. Go back the other way.
Oh yeah. All right. Now I'll have to do a little straightening on it because it's a little wonky from getting, metal pushed around. And then we'll bend down this flange. But so far I'm not ashamed of this. Alright, well I got my patch panel. I'm actually, I don't know how well you can see it. I got my recess end in it, the bend. It's not perfect. It fits really pretty good. I've got it clearance, everything. I had to come back and clear some stuff, but I kind of figured that would happen. Something didn't get accounted for correctly in the bend of the metal, because when I put this in, it didn't go in as far. I may have screwed up a measurement or something, I don't know. So my edge of my pocket recess isn't right up against the edge of my latch, and there's a hole here. I'll just take a little piece of metal and weld in there. I'll fill that in. I'm not going to worry about how far back this gap is. Okay, future editor AJ here. As you can see, the old cowl now has 1, 2, 3 holes in it, which means I screwed up. I guess fate had other plans for me not to use this one with the hole that was too long. And because when I went to make the other side, I set my indents the wrong way and bent my flange the wrong way, and I basically made the same side I just made. So I had one without the extra long hole, so we won't be using that one now. And then I went ahead and made one for the other side. So now I have 2 better patch panels, and I'm more proud. So now back to the outro. Quite honestly, this is my very first patch panel ever. And it's not like the most simple panel. And I was gonna say I'm not proud of it, but I am proud of it, even though it's not that great. I still got more work to do. I need to weld in some thicker metal on the back here where where all the holes are for the screws so I can drill and tap it. But I don't know, I'm pretty pleased where it's at. So I'm going to leave this video here for now, make my other patch panel for the other side off camera, and get everything ready for the next step. But for now, I think I'm going to leave this video here with my first patch panel. And like I said, I was going to say I'm not proud of it, but I know it's not perfect, but I am kind of proud of it, to be honest. So it's kind of cool. I think I did a halfway decent job at it. And for having no experience in doing something like this, and when you kind of rough fit it in here, everything seems to be fitting pretty well. Obviously, what I need to do at this point, go ahead and get the thicker metal added in there so I can drill and tap it for my screws, and then take and fix it up to the door here itself, and then cut both pieces of metal so it'll drop into position where it needs to be, and then weld it in. Like I said, my first patch panel. I am kind of proud of it. I think it's pretty cool. I got a ways to go on each one of these. This was definitely a learning experience for me. Using new tools, using new techniques, things I've never done before. So I'm kind of pleased with myself. So we'll come back to this, getting the rest of these doors hung and all that. But for now, we're going to drop the video here. So thanks for watching. Hope you subscribe. Getting some subscribers, people commenting, get me some algorithm love. I'd love that. Anyway, so when we come back, I'll have the other patch panel made and hopefully be ready to start hanging all my doors on so I can finally join this body together. So until then, YouTube, later.